So Teen Challenge, God used in my life, I think was a seed that he planted in my heart when I was about 9 years old. My father was pastor of a big church in Portland, Oregon, and we saw Teen Challenge come through. And I remember these men running around, and I thought it was so funny that they all had matching T-shirts, but they're not a choir. And I didn't get what this thing is. They're not a choir. They're not an act. They're not a dance routine. Like, what is this? Big men, all diverse, some Chinese, some, Hispanic, and they're big, small, random men. This is not a cast for something. And I remember my dad trying to explain what Teen Challenge is. He said it's a lot of them are ex-cons. A lot of them come off the streets. They were drug addicts. They were this, they were that. Teen Challenge is giving them a shot at food in their belly in exchange for rehabilitation. They have to agree and consent to go through a program of rehabilitation. And even as a kid, I just thought, man, that is so cool. So I remember being in the foyer of my dad's church and seeing these men selling these red and blue T-shirts. And I think they gave me one because I was the pastor's kid. But I remember having some pleasant conversation with this very tall, large African-American man. And I was a huge fan of wrestling as a kid. I know this is totally dithering. I was like, what is this? This is not what I asked at all. But he was huge and he had big muscles. And I remember thinking that this guy looked like a WWF wrestler. And our conversation was not very long, but I'm like 9 years old. And I just remember being struck by how sweet he was and how humble he was. This massive Goliath of a man could be very imposing and very frightening. And I remember thinking, was he one of the ones in jail? Was he one of the guys on the streets? I don't know, I better be nice, but he was so kind. And so all the years of my life, way before I became a child advocate, my wife and I have supported the women in Springfield, the local Teen Challenge. So I have many, many years. I was friends for years in Portland with the president of the chapter in Portland, Oregon of Teen Challenge. Many, many years. Friends with people in that ministry, and I love what they've done. They are often underfunded and understaffed.
Yeah, very much so.
But to your question, what can people do? And not to continuously, shamelessly plug my book and say, much of the answer to that is in the appendix at the end of Innocence Shattered, a series of thought exercises to guide towards. So let me give you this. This is very tangible, and you don't need my book to do this. If somebody listening to this program today, the whole concept of being charitable, I guess, Teen Challenge, the idea that you would outreach to the downtrodden, the example in Matthew of what the gospel looks like, it's ministering to the orphans and the widows. That whole concept got in my heart at a very young age. If somebody watching this program, I don't want to buy the book, I don't have the money, no time, it's going to be too dark, I don't want to deal with it. But I did resonate with a part of this that had to do with Joe's compel to go and now be an activist or an interventionist or an advocate for children. Go to royalfamilykids.com. They have chapters all over the United States. I don't quote me, but I believe it's like 222. It's a lot of chapters. I don't care what state you're in. There is something in proxy to you. They have a program of going through a background check and training required to be a volunteer, but they need volunteers to come with them for 1 week rehab camps for these very special kids that have been abused in every possible way.